Today I want to talk about RST reports, signal reports. So when someone gives you a 5.9, what does that mean? And should they? It's like everybody's not a 5.9. Okay, Giannis gave him a 5.8 that time. So if you're on HF at all, you probably heard Giannis before in Slovenia. He comes in real good all the time for me. Not all the time, but...
Thank you very much for the report, and yes, we did work before, but copy good and easy. 73, all the best to stay. Thank you. Goodbye, I'm Sugar 5 Denmark X-ray. Kilo 2 November Fox, Neil, thank you. About 5858 in Slovenia, go ahead.
So I want to talk about RST.
Thank you, Harry. I don't know, but number 2 and 3 sounds very similar on the transit band. Anyway, thank you very much, Harry. I did correct it. November kilowatt.
So you'll hear most of the time you're going to get this what people are doing on ham radio, on HF. They're making contacts, and so you're going to get this interaction. This is a good example of it. He just said 5.9 plus. So so let's get into this a little bit. There's a lot to share. It wouldn't seem like there would be, but there really is. So RST is what it stands for is readability, signal, and tone. The R stands for readability, S is strength, and T is for tone. It's basically a standardized system in amateur radio to convey the quality of a transmitted signal. It consists of RST. So you have readability, strength, and signal. So readability, the number you give refers to how easily the signal can be read or understood. And it applies to voice transmission, and which would be SSB, single sideband. I'm going to turn Giannis down just a little bit. Thank you, Giannis, for the example. I'll tune into these other ones here in a minute and see what's going on. But the readability stands for or represents voice communications, and which includes single sideband, AM, FM. But in the case of Morse code, it refers to how easily the operator can interpret the dits and das. So I'll get into that in a minute. But say you have the R, you're going to be giving the first number to the person in the RST. And let me explain something too. In sideband or AM FM, you're only going to use the R and the S. So you're going to do 5.9. You're not going to do 5.99 normally. So I'll explain that later. But the numbers equate. Number 1 would be unreadable. You can't understand the signal at all. Number 2 is barely readable. Only a few words or letters can be understood. And number 3 would be readable with difficulty. I can hear parts of the message, others I can't. So a 4 would be most of the message is understood, but not perfect, right? So if you're doing a 5, it's perfectly clear, perfectly readable, no clear and no interference. So it's okay to give someone a 4. You're readable. I'm copying the message, and I understood it, but it wasn't perfect. If you understood the message completely and it's clear, then give them a 5, right? So let's see here. So the strength, the S would be it measures signal strength. It ranges from 1, very weak, to 9, extremely strong. Now, there's a lot of things that can affect the signal strength. Let's just go through the numbers here. So 1 is very weak, 9 is very strong. So number 1 would be faint signal, just audible, barely, like in the noise, you're just barely pulling them out. Number 2 would be very weak signal, right? That's just a step up. It says weak but audible with some effort. Number 3 would be weak signal, audible but weak. Number 4 would be fair signal, clearly audible but not strong. And that's okay too. If you get the message across in a clear way, you can give them a 5, but then you give them a 4 if it's audible but the signal isn't strong. It's fair signal. And then number 5 would be moderate signal, easily audible but with some fading. Number 6 would be strong signal. Very good strength, slight fading. Number 7 would be very strong signal, almost no fading. Number 8 would be extremely strong signal, signal barely fades. Full scale signal would be number 9, crystal clear, no fading. So that is a rare signal, and for me, not rare, I shouldn't say completely rare, but not everybody's a 5.9. And it's okay, it's not an insult for someone to give you a 5.7, 5.6 even, 5.5, or even a 4.5. You know, all those numbers are okay to give, and it's not an insult, it's just an accurate representation of what they're hearing on their end. So it doesn't mean it's garbage. Don't get offended if someone doesn't give you 5.9 or whatever. That's reality. That's part of ham radio, and that's why we do testing and exchanging reports and all that stuff. So let's see what else is out here before I keep going. I'm on 20 meters here. Okay, these guys are just rag chewing.
You faded almost to nothing, Leader. But you're back now to a 5.7, 5.8. Pretty good signal. I copy you just fine. And I've been able to copy Randy all morning, though I've been kind of...
So this guy just mentioned fading, but he can still hear him. 5.8 would be signal barely fades. So, 5.7.
Mark's about a 5.7. I'm not even pointing in your direction, Mark. So conditions are good for you. And Dave, Whiskey Zulu 6 X-ray, of course, 5.9. He's always 5.9 here. He must run, what, Dave? 400 watts? Anyway, I haven't heard Gary up in Alaska. And Arch was about a 5'6", but I could copy him. Could copy him just fine. Marv was, of course, a 5'9". And I heard AWA. He was also a very strong 5'9" here. And I haven't heard anybody else. Let's see. Do I have anything to say? Well, I would say conditions today are changeable.
This is interesting. I'm recording this on this particular video. Perfect timing.
An S4 noise level.
So he talked about his noise level too.
S4, I can't hear you. Anyway, most guys apparently are. I'm hearing just about everybody.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm going to take my amplifier up to my friend KG6 CLA.
Okay, let's get back to it. That was cool. Good timing on that. And they're doing some sort of a net. I think it's the Alaska net or something like that. I can't remember, but that's perfect timing where he was trying to give everybody an accurate signal report, which is kind of cool. I'm glad I got that on there. That's funny. So let's go to number 3 here. Tone, the T. So this applies primarily to CW, which is Morse code, or any mode where tone is relevant. For voice modes, single sideband and AM, this part is often omitted, and you don't have to give a person a 5'9", because it refers primarily to a human voice. So unless you don't like the person's tone, don't bother giving them the 5'9" and then the third number, the tone report. It's okay. So on CW, that's what you're going to do it. So let's go over that real quick for those who are interested in CW. So the 1 would be distorted or very rough tone, very poor signal. Number 2 would be some distortion, not too clear, audible but not great. Number 3 is fair tone, some imperfections but still readable. Number 4 is clear tone with some roughness but good but not perfect. And 5 would be clear tone, clean, and clear signal. So to give someone, let's see here. What I want to include here. So how to determine what report to give. Listen carefully to the received signal. If the voice or Morse code is clear and understandable, is there significant static or noise? If you're working in SSB, which is voice, the readability might be rated 5 if the voice is clear, but if you might downgrade if there's a lot of interference. And if you're in CW, check how easily you can copy the message. If the CW is clean and you can copy everything, it's a 5 for readability. Assess signal strength. Pay attention to how loud the signal is. If you can hear it clearly without any interference, it's probably a 5 or higher, and which is fine. That's a good report. Someone gives you a 5.5, that's fine. That's okay. If you're hearing a strong signal that is stable without fading, it might be a 9. If it's weak and still understandable, it might be a 3 or 4. So, and if you're listening to Morse code, determine if the tone is smooth and consistent or if it's rough and distorted. If the tone is clean and free of interference, it could be rated 5. If it's unstable or has a lot of distortion, it might be 1 or 2. So how to determine the report that you receive. So when you receive a report, the operator on the other end has some criteria that they determine the 3 numbers they've sent or the 2 numbers. If you receive a 599, it means the report, the operator finds your signals perfectly readable, strong with the perfect tone if using CW. So some key points. So it's useful to convey the quality of a signal report during a contact. You typically provide an RST report after a brief exchange. You're going to say 5.9 or 5.7, especially in contesting or DXing scenarios. You're not going to go on. You got to do a quick exchange. A lot of times you're just going to, everybody's 5.9. For CW, tone is a critical part of the report as it provides insight to the quality of the Morse code transmission. For sideband, tone isn't usually reported. You don't ever hear that. So you'll just be concerned with readability and strength. So the T in RST report refers to the tone, but its application is specific to certain types of communications, particularly CW. So again, in sideband or AM or FM, the tone component of the report is typically not included or even necessary. So this is the California Hawaii net, maybe. So focus on readability and strength in voice modes. It's the most important aspect to the report. These
Roger, here we go. WH60R, Whiskey Hotel 6 Ocean Radio, W6DOF relay. Your turn on the Ohana, Wayne.
Okay, so it's just the Ohana net or something like that. But the readability and signal is the most important factor that you want to share in voice. So if someone's using sideband or AM and their signal is clean, their readability might be rated as 5, perfectly readable. If it's full of static or distortion, it's okay to rate it lower, and that's just reality. It's how it is for most times. Signal strength reflects on how loud and strong the signal is. In voice communication, this could range from faint to strong, like we talked about. So it just in summary here, remember that in voice modes, turn that down. In voice modes, single sideband AM FM, the tone part is not applicable because these modes carry complex audio signals that don't have a single fixed tone. So what that means is you don't need to include the tone part, right? So the key aspects and focus are on the readability and the signal. In CW, the tone part is essential because Morse code is transmitted using a continuous tone, and the quality of that tone greatly affects how easily the message can be received or decoded. So, all right, guys, that's what I got. I hope that made sense, and that was kind of cool. I copied that, recorded that guy giving reports to everyone. So good timing. So I spent 20 minutes, almost 20 minutes talking about RST. That's more than I probably should have, but thanks for watching, you guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you later.